Hey all, Jason Levon, priest at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome to another Pause and Pray. Some of you know that a few weeks ago, Christy and I had to make the difficult decision to put our dog Ed down. He was 16 and a half years old and shared a lot of life with us and had a big impact on it. What we weren't expecting was the difficult time our 9-year-old dog Blue has had in adjusting to Ed's absence. We wondered if there would be a struggle, but during their lives together, they weren't the closest. They weren't enemies at all, but they also weren't the closest. Ed was 10 pounds, Blue was 70 pounds. And they did different things. Blue liked to hike and run with us, and Ed liked to sit on the couch. He didn't even like grass, for Pete's sake. So he was a spoiled little dog. But he was the alpha, 10 pounds, clearly in charge, and Blue took all of his cues from Ed. So I guess in hindsight it makes sense that over the past 3 weeks or so, Blue has had a tremendously difficult time adjusting to Ed's absence. He's been very unsettled and anxious. He's on medicine now that it seems to be helping a bit, which is good news. But there's been a sort of paradox in it all, that as we watch Blue kind of navigate in his own doggy way the heaviness of Ed's absence, something in that heaviness has led Blue to be more demanding, reaching out for my attention and Christy's attention. Sometimes in annoying ways, if I'm going to be honest, but I try to understand. He's just trying to adjust to this new normal, a very different energy and dynamic in the house now. So we try to accommodate him, more walks, more attention, and it's led to a really beautiful prayer practice now that Blue and I have sort of stumbled into, where we'll spend some time together on a chair that we both enjoy sitting on. We share it together in the mornings now. Blue will curl up alongside me. There's room in the chair for both of us, and he'll place his head on my lap, and he'll just kind of sigh into it with this heaviness that he's dealing with. I'll share a picture along with this Pause and Pray about how that looked this morning. And I just kind of sit there with him, and I place a hand quietly and calmly on him, and just hold it there with some calm energy for maybe 15 or 20 minutes. And while I sit there and hold that heaviness with Blue, I found myself now using that time to lift up in prayer those people who have asked me to pray for them in my own personal and private prayers, who are navigating heaviness in their lives. And again, there's this paradox that as we sit in that heaviness, there's something also in that heaviness that stirs us to want to reach out to the love and light and peace of God. In today's daily office, we're invited to pray Psalm 61. It's a brief psalm, but it begins with the psalmist acknowledging a real heaviness of the psalmist's heart. And yet, something in that heaviness, while the heaviness wasn't necessarily created by God, there's something holy in that heaviness that stirs the psalmist to want to reach out to the love and light and peace of God. And as the psalmist does that and the psalm progresses, it ends with the psalmist singing this hymn of praise for the hope and strength and possibility and future that opens up because of God's presence and what was able to kind of move and stir in that heaviness and lead the psalmist to reach back out from it. And then that is a holy Lenten invitation for us to pause and pray today, reflecting honestly about maybe some heaviness we might happen to be carrying on our Lenten journeys right now. But to also reflect on the gift of how we come to find even in that heaviness a holiness that stirs us to want to reach out towards love and light and support and peace. And maybe we find that gift happening when we find the courage to be vulnerable with another, to share some of our heaviness with another, and then we're surprised by the doors of love and support that are opened as a result. Or maybe it happens when we feel moved to intentionally share some time and space with another person or a pet like I've been doing in the mornings who happens to be carrying some real heaviness in their lives. And we reach out to them precisely because we know what it's like to carry weight from time to time that we're not sure we can handle all that well. And in the end, we find yet another gift of Lent and the grace, just like that psalmist did, to sing a hymn of praise. That even the heaviness of our lives has been touched by the holiness of God. And it's that ability to touch our heaviness with holiness that ultimately leads us to reach back out to the love, light, and peace that is longing to help carry some of the load. Lenten peace and blessings to you all.